Welcome to my top 3 tips for working on the category of recharge. Now, firstly is to have a sleep wind down routine. And then if you are already doing that, I would say work on your morning routine. So how do you wind up for the day? And if you're doing both of those, I would recommend the next one would be to pay more attention and notice the stress signals that your body is giving you. So how could you do these? Firstly, if you don't have a wind down routine, maybe this is your wedge habit. For half an hour, 30 minutes at least, we should be off our devices and also giving our brains a chance to relax, because our brains don't just switch on and off like a light switch. They take time to wind down in the evening from the day's activities and to wound up into the day from the evening rest. So ideally, instead of just jumping into bed, still being on your devices, what could you do? Could you read a book that you genuinely are excited to read? Could you spend time listening to music, connecting with people or pets that are in the home with you? Or maybe doing a hobby, something that you feel you never have time for. I've recently started learning a musical instrument in the last half an hour before I go to bed, and it really helps to get me out of my head into my body, and I fall asleep with much more ease. And then just like in the morning when you wake up, your brain shouldn't be forced immediately on. Think about your morning routine. Could you also take half an hour in the morning to put you first? So before you grab coffee and stimulate your adrenal system and look at the news and social media and get outside input, could you potentially take it a bit more slowly and let your body slowly come into itself? This will help your chemistry, your neurochemistry so much. If you can get outside and have fresh air, even if it's still quite dark, and some general light movement, and if the weather's not permitting, even just simple stretching and taking your time in the morning, because before you know it, you're going to be pulled into the day. And then thirdly, are you aware of what's happening in your body? Because stress is exhausting. It diminishes our energy mentally, emotionally, physically. And this photo I took, often you might have seen this when you've driven past vineyards, that there are sometimes roses at the end of each row of vines. Well, they're not just there for an aesthetic beauty exercise. That would be really expensive. They're there to act as an alarm system. So when the roses are affected by a particular aphid or mildew, or there's a stressor that's going to impact the vines, the caretaker of the vines can pay attention and do something instead of potentially losing the whole crop. So what are your roses? What are your red flags? Are you paying attention to what your body is saying? And sometimes simply paying attention, being curious is enough. So what I would recommend is that once a day, as a start, the more you do this, the easier it gets, and the more in tune you are with your own stress signals, is to stop for 60 seconds, set a timer, and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I mentally? How am I feeling emotionally? How am I feeling physically? Because simply by asking the questions, you might realize, wow, I have a headache. Oh, I haven't had water. Let me get a glass of water. Or checking in with your emotions or your heart. Gosh, my heart is racing. Maybe I've had too much caffeine, or maybe I need to take a deep breath. And checking in with your physical body, you may realize that your back is stiff because you haven't moved for the last 2 hours. So being aware can help avoid the stress cycle from really spiraling. I hope that one of these 3 will motivate you and inspire you to look at your sleep wind down routine, to think about your morning wound up routine, or to become more conscious and aware of your stress signals.